think the biggest question that I have was just around the comparison between Amazon, Take-A-Lot, and of course, who will win the e-commerce race.
My thoughts around it are what South Africans believe their choices are. Is it Amazon versus Take-A-Lot, or is it just who's giving me the best price, that kind of thing?
Got you. SHITTY work. The one you were like, come on, guys.
I did not enjoy.
Pat. It's Pat on brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pat on Brands podcast with Pat, and she's not here today. Boomy. But today I have a special guest, Mathabo Sekhonyane.
Close, Sekhonyana.
Oh, the H is not a...
KH Yalesotho.
Oh!
Not Khonyana ya South Africa.
Interesting. Actually, I thought it was a Nguni surname. You know, in Ndebele we have a thing called Sekhonyane.
Yeah.
So Sekhonyane is when I don't know what they call it in English, but a large group of what do you call Chie? What is a Chie? A grasshopper. So you know when a group of grasshoppers attack the maize farm.
Yes.
Call that the Sekhonyane.
Wow.
Because they eat the thing and people starve.
Why are you starting like on such a bad note? Am I the grasshopper that's attacking the maize field?
The maize farms and it's Sekhonyane, but it's Sekhonyane.
Yeah, and that.
Welcome. Thank you for honoring our invite.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be
so
here.
you're very active on LinkedIn. I DM, you respond. I was like, she's gonna come here.
I mean, if Pat
Today, here we are.
If Pat DMs you, better respond.
Yeah, man. Who's Mathabo? For those that do not know, I mean, we hear you every now and then on radio. We read articles. Your name pops up. You're sharing interesting insights. But who's Mathabo? Not the marketer, but Mathabo, the person.
I think that names mean things. Right? My name means Mother of Happiness. And I think personally and professionally that kind of sums up who Mathabo is.
Yes.
I care deeply about people. I care deeply about joy. I care about consumers. I care about women. I'm a passionate person, I would say. Who else is Mathabo? Mathabo is a feminist. Mathabo is... to be a woman is to be a feminist.
Really?
Yes, it's very hard to not be a feminist if you're a woman.
But what's her name? Chimamanda.
Yes.
Says we should all be feminists, so male and female.
Yes, but I think it's easy for men not to be feminists because it's easier to be patriarchal. Who will make the meals?
But isn't feminism a mindset, not necessarily a gender thing?
Yes, it is definitely a mindset. But I think that if you look at the way that life is for women in South Africa, right? If you look at the way that things are in our communities, in relationships, in everything, right? It's hard not to be a feminist. It's hard not to feel radicalized by the things that you see happening. And that's why I'm saying to be female is to be feminist, because it comes so naturally because of how affronted you are by what's happening in society. And that's kind of why I joined the board of B.E.A.R, which is an NGO around women in GBV.
Sure.
Even where I work at Adoozy Power, we focus a lot on the safety aspect for women and girls. Because I think that, I know you said not to speak about marketing, right? But I think...
No, we were going to speak about marketing, but for now, we want to know you as a person.
I think that as people, we have a responsibility to leave the world better than we found it. You know?
Okay.
And I think maybe that's the core. I think I care.
You care. And marketing, how does marketing find you?
I fell into marketing.
Yeah?
I actually studied law at Rhodes, and then I studied international relations as my postgrad. And then I did a law internship, and I realized that law is not Boston legal. It's not suits. It's a lot of research and paperwork, etc. Reading
case laws
And I think the problem is when I did my internship, I interned with a lawyer that was focused on criminal law. So you go to court and someone stole a necklace from American Swiss.
Sure.
But I saw how much work went into that preparation. I was like, wait, no, I don't like this.
Is it?
I don't know. I didn't feel I had an affinity for it. I thought because I'm a debater that I would get into it. But laws...
But the admin behind it.
No.
So by the time a lawyer or an advocate or whoever goes to court, there's a lot of work that has been done behind, and you didn't enjoy that part.
Exactly. And it'll take you about 10 years to get to a point where you have your own clerk who's doing most of the admin for you. I did not feel that I could be a lawyer for 10 years while I waited.
Sure.
So while I was doing that, one of my friends had a marketing company. And he asked me to start helping him with some stuff at Varsity.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. And that's kind of how I started seeing marketing kind of as an option, you know. Then there was an internship at Fleischmann Hillard, which at the time was the biggest PR company in Africa. So I think it was like about 400 people. They chose 2. I was lucky to be one of them.
Sure.
And then I was in PR.
Oh. Where, in Joburg? Or?
In Joburg. And that was fun. However, this is like, I'm old, right? So I say that to say social media is so natural to us now. But at that time, from a marketing perspective, social media was very young.
I remember because when I was in Varsity, there used to even be a debate whether social media should be a marketing or an IT thing.
You see. So you see, you're also old. So that's how you know.
Yeah.
So they had started, Fleischmann Hillard had started kind of the social media kind of thing. So I was interested. When the 2 of the partners left to start their own agency, I left with them.
Wow.
And that's really where I started to get more into, you know, when you're in a small business, it's not like being inside an agency.
A big machine.
Yes. So I started to do a lot more, got more into the thought leadership writing, got more into the social media side of things, got more into content producing. And I think that's really where I got my start or my love of marketing.
Gotcha.
And kind of being able to marry my love for writing and expression with my love for people.
Awesome. But now let's go back to the law degree. Is there anything that you learned that you apply to your career now in marketing? Like, because I don't think all was lost.
No.
Or it was a complete waste of time.
Absolutely not.
Studying law.
I think outside of just marketing, it's also life. Studying law was very difficult. It's not an easy degree or an easy course. And number 1, learning that you can do hard things, right?
Gotcha.
Number 2 is learning that you're not always going to enjoy everything that you're doing. Even from a marketing perspective, it's something I'm deeply passionate about, but there are things that are tedious. There are things that you don't want to do.
Gotcha.
You're not
like
going to...
Writing a briefing.
Yes, for example. Or sitting through a long exco meeting explaining to people who don't necessarily understand marketing, the value of what you're putting out into the world, you know?
Gotcha.
But that is to say that you have to focus on kind of the bigger picture. And then there's certain principles and things from the law that I do apply. And it's even in terms of the way that we contract with agencies, and understanding what is and is not allowed legally. It's being able to see when you're in a small business or in a startup the way I am now. You don't necessarily have full access to all of the resources that you have in a big agency, right? So, for example, if we are contracting with people, as much as we might have legal advice, very often it's me reading those documents and having those discussions.
Got you.
It's being able to tell, no, there's a loophole here and you're trying to catch me here.
Got you. And you still understand domicilium necessitandi. What is it?
Domicilium, is it? I don't know. Clearly I wasn't very good at law. Let's hope I'm better at marketing.
Yeah. But when you had like Flashman in your journey, any sort of highlights, in terms of campaigns or work that you were like, okay, I was glad that I was involved in that?
Wow. There's actually so many. But I would say maybe the work that I most love or that I'm most proud of is the work I did on Dawn.
Oh.
So when I was at U Studio, which is Unilever's internal agency, I headed up social media there, right? So at the time, Unilever had a lot of external agencies, still does, I think. But you have U Studio in other markets, right? But they did not have social media as a competency inside Africa at the time, as in sitting inside Unilever. So we kind of started that, right? Myself and my business unit director at the time.
Sure.
Now, the way that they run social media there, I think, is the best I've ever seen it done. Because usually, if you work in an agency in social media, what you have is a social media person and they work on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 accounts.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas with us, you have the social media manager sitting with the brand team, right? And you work on 2 accounts maximum. So you are very much immersed in the consumer world. Yeah. They're also leaning on you, not just to manage a community, but for insights, for recommendations, for research.
Yeah.
So back to I say that to tell you the Dawn example.
Yeah.
So we were working on Dawn, and the way that the brand was being marketed at the time was, or the way that it looked on social was more aspirational, right? So even from the imagery that we used, the copy that we used, etc. During my time on the brand, I then realized that no, it's wrong. The people that are buying Dawn are not aspiring to be these people that we are putting on there. Dawn is not Vaseline, it's not Nivea. It is what it is, and what it is actually enough. Get on. Get on. And the age group was different to what we thought. It's older women, older black women in lower LSM groups.
I remember the combo, Dawn and the clear glycerine.
Exactly. Honajinaki magnolia oil, please.
Okay.
So I then realized also that our social media was focused on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, right? But that's not where our audience was actually communicating. They were communicating in closed Facebook groups.
Wow.
And this was actually people who are buying the product, they're sharing specials, etc. Right? So I then joined these closed Facebook groups, not only to get insights, but for the brand to start speaking to this audience, right?
Sure.
And then more than that, looking for, I have such a problem with the way people use the word influencer, because they think that it is beautifully stylized pictures and these stylish people living a particular lifestyle.
Yeah.
But really, influencers are supposed to be people with influence. I actually rather prefer to refer to tastemakers.
Yeah.
And what I found in that group were people who necessarily you might not think of when you think of influencers, but people where when they say there's a Dawn special, go you save.
Yeah.
You will get there and you will find the shelves empty.
Sure.
So we started now working with these people.
But there was who's that lady that made Dawn trend?
Yes, K-Arms.
K-Arms.
But you see, she made Dawn trend to our LSM, right?
Yeah.
The people who were selling out that argan oil Dawn prior to K-Arms, and when I say selling out, I mean we could not produce it fast enough.
Sure.
It did not exist on the shelves to the extent that people were buying it and reselling it. in these groups, right? So anyway, from discovering these insights, I then went and started asking these women questions. And it turned out that for them, it's not a case of I just use the lotion to use the lotion, because the argan oil dawn is around stretch marks. These women are saying, I don't feel beautiful. Because I have these stretch marks, I can't be intimate with my husband. I don't feel okay in my own skin. I went on a birthday trip to Durban.
Yeah.
But I ended up not even swimming because I didn't want anyone to see me.
Sure.
You then start unpacking what that does in a home, and we realized very quickly that there's such rich storytelling there.
Yeah.
And we started to look at sort of a more Humans of New York style of speaking about these women and telling their stories, and how you tie that back to product, how you tie that back to need, how you tie that back to passion, how you can use that to also uplift those same women.
Yeah.
As opposed to throwing our money behind what is the expected marketing tactics.
Sure.
And I think the reason why I'm most proud of that work is because I saw the very real impact that we were able to have in these women's lives. And I think that we do have a responsibility as marketers to be the voice of the consumer, to where we can use marketing to make things better, to make the world better.
Absolutely. Actually, interesting you touched on that. Last night I was at a dinner with,
No invite.
Askies, some of the top marketers in the country. And what was sort of discussed or talked about there was how marketing or marketers can really be a force for good in our society through, obviously, the brands that they work on, using the budgets or the influence they have to make decisions that will propel humanity forward.
Yes. I think that we take things too lightly.
Sure.
I think we have seen the way that marketing can change everything. With engagement rings.
Yeah.
It started as marketing. That wasn't how people were just getting married.
Yeah, actually, interestingly, in Japan, how the young men used to propose to their women, they would propose using like a washing machine, not necessarily an ring.
Engagement ring.
And I mean, I think I'm glad you went that direction, because this is one of my favorite case studies.
Yes.
From a marketing perspective,
Yes.
How B.E.A.R's marketed diamonds. If you think about it, diamonds, we have diamonds in abundance in Africa. I mean, you go to Botswana, there's a lot. You go to Sierra Leone, you go to Zimbabwe, obviously here in South Africa. How they took just something that is so widely available and made it to be this scarce,
Make it precious.
precious rock.
Yeah.
It's I mean, there's a story even how they commissioned a marketing agency to come up with a tagline or a brand promise, as we now call it, around diamonds being the most precious stones you could ever find.
I mean, there's literally a song, "Diamonds are a girl's best friend."
A
marketing masterclass.
Yeah, and I mean, even when they said diamonds are forever, then they came back again and they said, whether you're a white collar worker or blue collar worker, it will take you 3 months of your salary as a man to buy a diamond ring to engage your fiance, your person. It is absolutely remarkable from a marketing perspective.
Yes.
What B.E.A.R's actually has done with marketing.
And that's why I say we take it too lightly. A marketing agency came and revolutionized an industry. whether it's for the better or not. Obviously, as a woman, it's for my betterment. I don't know about the men with the 3-month salaries if it's for their betterment. It's any man's game.
Absolutely. Even now, if you follow the story, because then obviously you remember there's the story around blood diamonds.
Yes.
And how people are dying and how also they had to come back from that. Now actually they're fighting what do they call it? Synthesized diamonds, the ones that are being made in the factory.
Yeah, the lab diamonds.
The lab diamonds. I mean, they did a study whereby put a lab diamond and a real diamond. And women couldn't tell the difference through the naked eye.
Yes.
But also, once the respondents in that research learned that there was a lab diamond, they placed very less value on the lab diamond than the one that came out from the ground.
Because the marketers have done their job. They told us it's good, so we believe them.
So you're at Adoozy now, and you say you refer to a startup, but when I look at it online and everywhere else, I'm like, this is a proper brand, And I guess you also get to engage with smaller businesses. What has been your observation in terms of how small businesses are using, digital marketing tools to build and grow their businesses?
I don't think it's being done very well, but I think it is because there's a lot of intimidation that small businesses feel when it comes to marketing, right? They think you need a big, flashy budget. They think you need to be a chicken licking ad, right?
Got you.
We can't all be a chicken licking ad. 100%. We don't have the budget.
Yes.
But there are things that you can do, and I think it's taking marketing back to basics, right?
Yeah.
What is the consumer problem you solve?
Yes.
It's X. Fine. Where is my consumer? Where do they consume their content? Whether it's digitally, whether it's on the ground flyers, whatever it may look like, but where are they? And then tell them, hi, I solve your problem, where they can hear your messaging.
Gotcha.
You speak about Adoozy moving like a bigger brand.
Yes.
And I think it's also that attitude that a lot of startups or small businesses are missing. You have to be taken seriously, you need to take yourself seriously. So with Adoozy, we were bringing a new product to market, right? And there's a lot of education that goes into the service offering because it's new tech. It's rent a power bank instead of buy a power bank. It is a rent a power bank using your biometrics to identify you. It is downloading an app and adding your bank details. Now, South Africans don't mind sharing, for example, their data.
Yeah.
Right? But the minute you ask them to add a bank card, that's now where the questions begin.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So we had a credibility issue.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to build that brand trust, which is why we've leaned more into thought leadership, why we've leaned more into storytelling, why everything that we have done from a brand perspective has gone back to looking at what does our customer need. Even the innovations that we brought in around partnering with Uber to have the power bank delivered to you is because on the ground, when we're speaking to consumers, they were saying, sometimes I don't want to go and have to look for another Adoozy tower to return my power bank. So you innovate only because your consumer needs you to. Small businesses also spend a lot of time and marketing on things that are not necessary, that they assume are necessary.
Sure.
Right? Another piece of advice I'd give is research. At the end of the day, marketing, again, for me, always comes right back to your consumer. If you can get that right, if you can understand your consumer the way you understand your best friend.
Yeah. But also, if I can challenge you a bit there, there's a famous quote, I think it's Henry Ford. And he once said, if we ask people what they wanted before he came up with, obviously, a car, you'd have said they wanted a faster horse.
Yes. So,
But they wouldn't have said, oh, we want a car, or we want to fly, or we want to, you know what I mean? But he had to come up with a car, and people saw the benefits of having a car versus riding on a horse.
so can I challenge you and Henry Ford?
Sure.
I would say that he gave a solution to a consumer problem. What his consumer wanted was to move faster. He told
Absolutely.
them how to move faster. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Our consumer said, for example, in the example I used, right?
Yeah.
Our consumer said, I don't want to go and look for the
Another-
station.
Yeah, where I can return the
We
power.
decide how to solve that need,
Uh-huh.
right? Consumers, yes, and we spoke about the influence that marketing can have on consumer behavior,
Yes.
right? But if you understand your consumer, it's not just understanding what they're telling you. I went to an interesting talk a few months ago, and one of the banks was speaking, and they were speaking about consumer spending habits
Yeah.
and how much consumers think they spend on takeout, right?
Sure.
Most people say, I think I spend about 1,000 Rand. But when they were actually looking at the stats, on average, it was 3 to 4 times more than consumers were telling them they had spent, because we also lie to ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Understanding your consumer is about understanding actually what their needs are, actually what their passions are, actually what their wants are, and servicing those. It's not just hearing what they say. And that's why I say you need to understand your consumer like your best friend, because you can even anticipate what their needs are.
But also, just like Henry Ford.
Do you like Henry Ford? I see.
No. But just like Henry Ford, sometimes the consumer doesn't know what they want, and you have to make them want that which you want them to want.
Yes.
So it's I guess there's a balance, because sometimes it gets so fixated with the research and the data that sometimes it even cripples you
Yes.
from doing anything.
Yes.
You know, because you don't make decisions.
Analysis paralysis.
You end up suffering from that, because you're sitting, you know, like every time, whenever there's a new, for example, actually, interesting enough, I also went to another event, and we had a researcher, right? And she was just talking about, even for her, it was counterintuitive, you know, because she wants the business, you know. I think we have our other guest, Tabang, waiting for us. Can you please get him? So you have, for example, a researcher saying, every time, whenever there's a slight change or whenever there's a new person, for example, they commission work. And she's like, the results of the previous research have never been acted upon. So,
How do we?
and now I've been commissioned,
Yes.
you know, to do another piece of research,
Yes.
and the research just piles up and up and up
Yes.
and up, but it's never acted upon. So how do we then, as a small business, which big corporates can afford to commission research and sit on it, but we all know that research also is not cheap. For example, it's time, it's resources, and. So how do we then navigate that? Because if research doesn't fit your hypothesis, for example,
Yes.
you discard it. If it opposes your innate belief or what you think is right at that particular time, or is the right thing to do, then you would park it or shelve it.
So I trust my gut a lot. Fine.
Yeah.
But I think that I don't like guesswork anymore. Because especially
Anymore.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I think it's exactly what you're speaking about. A lot of my background is inside big agencies or big corporates. So you can afford to guess, because if you get this wrong, the repercussions are not as big. Do you understand what I mean?
Got you.
In a small business, guesswork, if you get something wrong, it's so expensive to you.
Yeah, you can go under.
You can go under, right?
Yeah.
If, for example, we had guessed when it comes to an innovation,
Yeah.
you spend time, you spend you spend money, and it doesn't work, that could be the end. You close your doors, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that things must be fit for purpose.
Got you.
You don't necessarily need to go and pay 200,000 Rand for a focus group. which by the way is one of the cheapest ones that I've ever found, is 200,000 rand. It's very expensive.
Sure.
For a small business, that might not be the best use of your money, right? Can you though conduct some surveys? Yes, you can. You can do that digitally.
Yes.
All that you need to do is incentivize consumers. Consumers don't even necessarily need to be incentivized by a lot, from what I've noticed on social media, right? You can say, please complete this survey. You put in your targeting in terms of your ads, and you say to incentivize you, we'll give you a 200 Rand Uber Eats voucher. A consumer is happy to do a 3-minute survey for you.
And you get the insights.
And you get the insights, as long as, again, you need to make sure your targeting is correct, how you set up your ad is correct, good creative, and.
Yeah.
But you don't always have to do it the way that a big marketing company or a big corporate would do it. Do it within your means and fit for purpose.
Okay. So you touched on, obviously, small businesses not using digital platforms correctly. Research is also another one. Thirdly,
you actually said it's the analysis paralysis. And it's I like what you mentioned, because I think for a lot of small businesses, because the stakes are so high, they're scared.
Yeah.
You're scared to get things wrong.
Got you.
But the benefit of a small business actually is supposed to be that you should be agile. You're able to move quickly.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to recover a lot quicker.
Got you.
Another thing that I would say is a lot of small business owners have a particular skill set. Whether if it's a tech company, it's usually IT guys.
Yeah.
Or if it is a clothing brand, it is someone who is a designer or a creative. It means that you don't necessarily have the other skills that you need at the table. Hire right. And not fast. Right.
But fire fast.
Fire very fast. As quick as you can. Within the legal parameters.
Got you.
But I think small businesses, for me, what I've noticed is that the personnel and having the right people in the room, people that you know are good at their jobs, but care about the business, care about themselves, care about moving it forward, can be the defining factor in whether you succeed or not.
Sure. But also, I mean, talent is expensive. Good talent, rather.
Yes.
Is a small business.
Bad talent is more expensive.
But if you don't have the budgets to hire a Mathabo renowned marketing professional versus having a Susie from Rhodes.
Firstly, Susie from Rhodes sounds amazing. I respect her. It's also about, you don't have to hire every single position. I'm being so serious. I think that as a small business, you need to think cleverly about what you need at a particular moment.
Yeah.
Right? Another way that I have tried to be smart, even with my budget, right, is you don't necessarily always need a full-time resource. Sometimes you need some specific kinds of work or blocks of work done. You can get the best professional and pay them for that time and be done. You don't necessarily need someone in-house 5 days a week. You don't necessarily need every agency on a retainer. You need to, obviously this will differ based on what your company is or what your marketing budget is or what your marketing needs are. Maybe you don't need a Mathabo. Or maybe you need a Mathabo, but you don't need a full-time person to do social. Or maybe you just need community management.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't need billboards, but what you want to do is put your money into the people who stand at the side of the road and hand out flyers. It depends.
Got you.
But you need to be, as a small business, you need to be a lot more strategic, guerrilla style.
Sure. I guess also it boils down to understanding the environment in which you operate in and see how you can leverage certain opportunities that exist within that particular environment.
A last thing that I would say is, and this is for really small businesses, is upskill yourself. My favorite thing about the digital world that we live in now
Yeah.
is there is a YouTube video, a TikTok video, a LinkedIn tutorial for pretty much everything you want to do. There are certain things like, I don't think you should have a business that doesn't have a social media account.
Absolutely.
Because South Africans now, most of them are becoming digital natives.
Yeah.
Right? Or are digital natives, in fact. But if you are a very, very small business, right? Obviously, a Mathabo is, you can't even think about a Mathabo. But potentially, you can't even think about a Susie.
That's it.
Right? But you can teach yourself what you need to do to run a social media page, to set up WhatsApp for business, little things.
Gotcha.
Don't be scared to learn. Yeah.
But you also get other like founders, entrepreneurs who tend to say, "Oh, I let my job will speak for itself." Do you believe that the job does talk?
Where? No.
I'm just gonna do my own thing. I know my designs are the best. I know my coding is the best.
I feel so strongly upset by what you've said right now. But it is the antithesis of what I believe.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's like anything. It's actually even like what I tell my team.
Yeah.
You are not one of one. There is someone more talented than you or less talented than you that can take your place at any moment. Right?
Sure.
As a brand, you might have the best quality, the best product, the best price. But a consumer still will choose something else over you. And that's the marketing, that's the job, that's the machine. There's a reason why Apple users Apple's so successful, why Apple users it's like a cult following, where you'll have the MacBook, you'll have the phone, you'll have the watch. I mean,
you have the AirPods.
You have the AirPods. I'm one of them, right?
Sure.
They can bring out a Samsung phone and tell me that the camera's better. And
you
tell
can
me,
zoom 500 times.
They can tell me whatever they want.
Yeah.
I will not buy a phone that's not an iPhone, right? Because of
If you don't mind me asking, when were you captured by Apple? Like how many years ago?
They've had me for a while now.
Sure.
They've had me since my first job.
And how long was that?
10 years plus. I'm very old.
What do you mean it's very old?
Very old. Just like you though, but very old.
I'm not old.
We're young at heart. So 10 years plus.
Yeah.
10 years plus. I've been on the Apple journey.
And now, if someone says, "Hey, here's a new Xiaomi,"
No, thank you.
you can zoom someone. You see, now we're in Rivonia.
Yeah.
You can take a picture of someone in Sentin City.
I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them until Steve Jobs tells me I can.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
But that's the power of marketing.
Sure.
That's the power, not even of marketing, that's the power of branding.
Yeah, I think Apple has done a great brand job. It's you can't dispute it.
And this is why you can't say it's good enough for the work to speak for itself. Because unfortunately, consumer decision making isn't just based on quality. We're even starting to see in South Africa now, like consumers becoming interested in things that I did not think would start to happen, like issues around sustainability, for example. They care, some consumers, obviously it's a burgeoning trend, it's not that everyone, but are starting to care if your brand is sustainable.
Got you.
What the carbon footprint is, how environmentally friendly it is, those things, right? And they will make a purchasing decision, or that will weigh in on a purchasing decision, right? Yeah. You're not thinking about that. You said, I created a great product. But is that what your consumer cares about? Just the great product?
So you all for founders being out there, telling the story about the brand, making noise about that which they produce?
100%. And I think I like what you just touched on, which is telling the story. Consumers love a good story. And I think that consumers are also interested in knowing the people behind the brand and your story in, all of that. I think there's a reason why people like to engage with Pat on Brands.
You have to tell the stories.
Yes, it's because we're interested in storytelling. We're interested in getting to know people. We're getting interested in looking at what's in their minds, right? Past the product.
I mean, even now, for example, I think we're having a conversation offline about, like, for example, Adoozy. You know, having started the brand 2018, doing all the work, setting up all the infrastructure, launching 1 week before the pandemic. And they can't operate. They've made this massive investment, and. So I can just imagine the founders. In my head, I'm like, what did they go through? How did they come out of that and continued on this journey of building this?
And are you not interested?
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. So founders out there must continue to tell
your story. Come on, Pat on Brands. Boom, put a camera in that face. Shoot a vlog. I also believe in the power of like thought leadership, storytelling. And giving out more than just your product.
So Amazon recently launched in South Africa. Finally, you know, I think there's been an announcement that it's coming. But now it's here. And this one evening, I think I was on my way home, as I usually do listen to radio, and there you are, the radio, giving opinions on how Amazon launched. And I think the biggest question that I have was just around, obviously, the comparison between Amazon, Takealot, and of course, the e-commerce race in the long run.
Yeah.
But just if you don't mind, just the overall view or impression of how Amazon entered the fray.
So I think it's almost a three-part conversation, right? On the one hand, you have Amazon and our local e-commerce sites like your Takealot, etc.
Zulzis.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have Amazon and how it fares against the other entrants that have come into the market that are not local. So your Temus, your Sheins, etc. And then on the third layer, you have kind of, well, in my mind, or my thoughts around it are, the third layer being what South Africans believe their choices are. Is it Amazon versus Takealot? Or is it just who's giving me the best price, that kind of thing?
Got you.
So I think that Amazon was smart in terms of it was a very subtle launch. They gave us a press release. Hi guys, I'm Amazon and I'm here.
Yeah.
Which potentially can be arrogant, potentially can backfire. But I think that they read the sentiment of how consumers are feeling right now around over marketing by brands, right?
Interesting.
So if you look on so I do a lot of social media analysis, trend analysis, right? And from a Temu perspective, one of the top searched word or top used words when it comes to Temu is annoying, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of, even like people asking, how can I stop seeing Temu ads?
A Temu ad even goes over onto your next tweet. That's how much they're over marketing. I'm not making
budgets, huh?
Yes. I mean, I think it's Amazon. No, it's Amazon.
Yeah.
They spent I think 3 billion in marketing last year just on Meta.
They must be.
No, they have money. They're not playing. And this is again going back to their launch. It's not for lack of budget that they did not market.
Yeah.
It is because they understand that the issues that the South African consumer is speaking about with regards to other e-commerce sites are issues around trust, credibility, reliability. Especially when you're looking at the other entrants from overseas.
And of course, we cannot also neglect the fact that there's now also a conscious sort of drive towards supporting local brands.
Yes, exactly. So when Amazon comes in, I think that's potentially part of the reasons why the quiet launch, right? Now, my initial expectation and the initial sentiment by consumers was, yay, Amazon, right? But they haven't gotten the 100% right in terms of the way that consumers are seeing it, right? Because their expectation was that Amazon was bringing a different product offering.
Gotcha.
That I'm not going to have access to what I see on the Amazon sites for the US or the UK. However, by and large, what they are offering is similar to what you can find on a Takealot or a Superbalist or a Zulzi, right? And what you're seeing from a price perspective is very much a mixed bag. Some things are more expensive on Amazon. Some things are cheaper on Amazon. I don't think it's easy to say Amazon is doing well or badly from a price perspective. I think consumers are shopping around and see where you get the best deal. You know? But I think that they were expecting more, right? However, I do still think that, especially for local brands, our Takealots, you always need to be wary when something of Amazon stature comes in, because we cannot beat them on budget. Takealot does not have $2.9 billion
for marketing.
No, they don't have that, right? So it's going to be interesting to me to see how they compete against the mammoth that is Amazon, right? What has been interesting to me has been seeing the responses from Takealot, which is basically to say they welcome it, right?
Isn't that obviously a...
No, they're lying. They don't welcome it. Do they welcome it?
Is it? They're being diplomatic.
Yes. But I think for consumers, the consumer's finally actually king. Because I think that what is going to be forced on all of the e-commerce sites right now is basically to up their user experience. Because all consumers are complaining about is the user experience, is the exchange times, is being able to get same day delivery, etc. So those things I think are gonna have to become a standard if a consumer is gonna shop on your site. Because there's so many other options now, good options now. I also saw, interestingly enough, that recently in April, Zando actually launched a South African, an international leg to basically go against.
But isn't Zando under the Takealot stable?
Yes, but they just launched like an international leg to basically bring international products and be able to service locally, because they've obviously got local stores, as a way to basically compete more effectively against the likes of Amazon. So basically marrying the best between the advantages of being local, but still bringing in that international goods marketplace that consumers are looking for. I don't know how well it's being done yet, but I think that that's the kind of thinking that's going to be necessary from our local brands if they're going to be able to compete effectively.
So now the CEO of Takealot calls you now, says, Mathabo, how do we tackle this thing? How do we position ourselves in the market now that we are faced with international competition? Like you say, you've got Temu, Shein, you've got now Amazon entering the fray. How do we remain competitive? How do we remain the platform of choice for the South African consumer?
Again, I think for me, marketing always goes back to the consumer, right? They already know, because their consumers are actively telling them what their problems are. Number one, with Takealot itself, so with the experience on Takealot.
Gotcha.
And then number two, with their competitors, what their issues are. That's where you start. You start with saying, okay, consumers are complaining about user experience. How do I fix my user experience? How do I make my website, my app more friendly, more tailored? How do I serve you the things that I know you need? How do I better anticipate based on your search history, etc. Right?
Got you.
You look at, okay, fine, they're complaining about exchange times or how long it takes to get refunds.
Yeah.
How do I bolster that part of my business in order to quicken the exchange times, and especially looking at how your competitors are doing it, as in like doing a bad job, to be honest.
Yeah.
But how do you bridge that gap,
Yeah.
right? Consumers are complaining when it comes from a Temu Shein perspective, for example, that yes, the price point is good, but I'm not sure of the quality, that I'm always going to get what I ordered.
Got you.
Be the brand that always gives consumers what they ask for. Do what you say you're going to do.
Got you.
Again, going back to the Amazon example, the Amazon brand came and brought what they wanted to bring is that trust, that reliability, that credibility. I think that if I'm Takealot, that's where I'm leaning to. I'm leaning into, when Checker 60 says you will deliver within 60 minutes, they know they must deliver within 60 minutes. And that's why people like the app. For me, it goes back to those fundamentals. I think that's also what the brands that last are the brands that you know what you're going to get. They stick to their brand promise.
Do you think the narrative of them being proudly South African and creating jobs locally and is not something to run with at this point? Or
I think it's a good PR story. I think it's a good story to tell.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is what's going to make consumers shop more on Takealot versus another brand. To be honest, what I've seen a lot from a South African consumer is they are self-centric. Well, consumers generally are self-centric.
Yeah.
Even if they're motivated by other things, like we spoke about sustainability, for example.
Yeah.
They're motivated by that because of the way that it affects them, like self. Right? South Africans telling, giving jobs, etc. I love that. That's great. Well done. But if I can find the same shoe cheaper on Superbalist, that's where I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Whether you're creating jobs or not.
And I mean, given the fact that now consumers are sort of cash strapped, the economy is not great. I mean, obviously, price will be
huge determining factor. Huge determining factor.
Okay. We've exhausted the Amazon versus Takealot discussion, but I think more than anything, I mean, you mentioned earlier on about something around over marketing. Do you think that's a challenge that's now facing our industry, whereby as marketers, as brand builders, we need to be cautious as to not being seen as over? Is that?
Yes. I think that there's a sort of tackiness now to some of the marketing that we see out there, where marketers are marketing for marketing's sake. Okay.
Tell me more.
So I have a social media budget. For example, this is just an example.
Yeah.
I have a social media budget. So, okay, fine. Let's put out some posts.
Yeah.
Okay, put out 4 posts a week. Why? What is the purpose of that post?
To stay top of mind.
To
sell product, or to promote product, to create awareness.
Right. But generally, I'm just speaking frankly now here on Pattern Brands.
Yeah.
Right? What you said, which is the reasons, is not the marketing that we're often seeing. It is very often just done to be done. You can look at a piece of creative, there's not even a call to action. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe the job is awareness, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at the copy that's used, or you look at the picture that's used. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like there's a laziness, to be honest, right? To delve a little bit deeper in terms of the over marketing, right? It's also, it seems to me like we've lost a strategic layer to the marketing that we're doing. And when I say that, I mean, you need to understand so clearly not just the purpose of what you're doing, but how you're doing it, right? So, for instance, what tactic is most suited to what you're trying to achieve? Do you get what I mean? Like, do you need to put out 4 posts on Instagram this week, right? Or would it be more effective? Let's say you're looking for leads. This is just an example. Would you just put out the 4 posts at the time that you know your audience is most active? Or would it be more effective to put out a dark post that's actually not even on your feed, but is actually targeted to your audience, to the geographical area where they are? We're not even applying just that basic level. And the problem with it more than anything is that consumers are tired of it. You look at, there's this, it's not even new, but there's this thing that people do on Twitter now, where they basically buy promoters on Twitter and they all tweet about something at the same time, right? And it's basically engagement farming, right? It's not real. It's 50 people that have been paid to speak about a topic and then it ends up trending,
yeah.
right?
I've seen that actually. I've recently learned about the engagement farms. You know, I've seen it with a couple of quite prominent influencers.
Yes.
Tawang, too mature people are talking, older people are talking. Don't be laughing. But yeah,
and it's that over marketing. It's that vanity, that gimmicky sort of marketing that I think is beginning to annoy consumers. So it's actually becoming counterproductive, right?
Sure.
Which means we're not doing our job. Which means we're not doing our job well.
Yeah.
Which means as an industry, we are not moving forward. Instead of looking at what's coming next, at the future of marketing, at how we sharpen each other's minds, it seems to me like things are just being done to be done.
That's it. So what you're saying is people are not applying themselves enough?
Yes.
In their jobs?
Yes.
You're gonna hate us for this.
I'm sorry. Also, I don't know about you, Pat.
Yes.
But I feel like I do know about you.
Okay.
I don't think that marketing is just the marketers that I respect, or the marketers that I see doing amazing work, putting out amazing creative, putting out amazing campaigns, are not people who are there to do a job. They care about the work. They care about what they're putting out. They care about putting their
this past week rather, the new Netbank at Bank Your Time.
Mojo Public. Mojo Public.
Yeah.
Is this a Joe Public ad? Is that what's happening here on Pat on Brands?
Oh my goodness. Okay, no, cut. I also have an agency. It's called Lerato Agency.
Lerato Agency, shout out.
People laugh. Yeah. But I mean, look, I think to your point, we cannot also ignore great work.
Yes.
You know, we cannot ignore work that has been thoroughly thought out, work that, you know, you just get it, man.
Yes.
Like when you see it, you're like,
of course. Oh, do you want to know another really fun tactical marketing work that I've seen, or advertising work that really titillated me? Have you been seeing what our good friends at KFC are doing?
Actually, interesting.
So what they have done, Pat,
Yeah.
I want you to drive down William Nickel and go and see.
Yeah.
Outside McDonald's, they've placed a KFC ad,
Oh.
right? I think it's marketing.
Oh, there's two. When you say William Nicole, they're by four ways crossing.
Yeah, higher up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically outside, and it's not just that McDonald's.
Yeah.
Outside most of the McDonald's in Joburg right now. I've seen it.
Yeah.
They're placing these KFC ads.
Yeah.
Right outside McDonald's.
Sure.
Right. Very clever copy, and whatever as well. But to me, it's that kind of. That's the marketing that I like. Is a little bit cheeky. Is a little bit calling you out. They've also gone and basically bought the billboard space for months. Sure. So McDonald's can't even go and buy it back. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, that is fun. That is creative sitting in the room and saying, what tactical opportunity, like this is an awesome tactical opportunity, and brand trusting you enough to say, let's execute it, let's do it.
Let's do it. I think more than anything, obviously in the time we find ourselves in, obviously, I mean, I had, interesting enough, I think about a month or so ago, I had a chat with Pepe, Joe Public, and he was just saying the quality of the work, has broadly advertising in South Africa has dropped.
That's my view.
Is that,
I'm
that's your
there
view
with
too?
Pepe.
Yeah.
Yes. Even now as we're speaking,
Yeah.
we've spoken about great work.
Yeah.
Right? But the reason I'm also so excited when I speak about it is because it's no longer commonplace for us to just see great work.
West one?
Why do you want me killed? The industry's too small for what you're doing.
Hey, I know, right? I know.
You want me out of a job.
Yeah,
you want my colleagues to fight me.
But they know here at Pat on Brands, we give pats and slaps on brands. So we gave Pat 2 amazing work. So we can give a slap to one SHITTY work. The one we were like, come on, guys.
You didn't
Really?
even try here. Okay. Most disappointing execution.
Yeah.
How could you do this to me? Like, who does this to someone? Was
Am I going McG on you now?
you literally going MacG on me? And as a feminist, I prefer the Pattern Brands podcast to the MacG podcast. You see, there's a slap on brands.
But obviously, there's lessons to be learned.
So, to be honest, I did not enjoy Brutal Fruit's latest execution. Wasn't even necessarily just digital work.
Yeah.
They had created that women-only bar in Soweto.
Oh, yes. The Shabin.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. That was last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Poorly thought out. Here's why I say so.
And also, it was our friends again. Guess where?
Where?
At your public.
Slaps on brands.
Yeah.
Poorly thought out, poorly executed, I felt. Lack of understanding of their target audience and how they behave in those spaces. Wow. Women want to be safe when they go out. Absolutely. Yes. Women don't just want to be with other women only. The only time that, not the only time, but very often where women want to only congregate alone is to celebrate things like a baby shower or whatever.
Right, what?
Yes. But those are once-off events. It's not a thing that's going to happen every weekend, right? That's one. Outside of the brick and mortar portion, I don't think that the digital execution was good either. They had a beautiful opportunity for real deep storytelling around why women don't feel safe when they're out.
Got you.
You know, that kind of thing. Completely missed opportunity. To me, it felt shallow. Slaps on brands.
Okay, cool. It wouldn't be the Pattern Brands podcast if we don't do the Pattern Brands quiz.
Pattern Brands quiz.
Yeah. Where we give pats and slaps. So if you get the question right, give you a pat. And if you get it wrong, you get a slap.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see how well you know your brands. Yes.
Oh,
Kidding.
no. First of all, thank you for referring to me by my full title. But Also,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Which brand, right? Has the gentleman by the name Sydney Lanza Bele as its CMO?
African Bank.
Let me give you.
Okay.
Is it African Bank, the one that which you just mentioned now? Is it MTN or is it Absa?
MTN. I'm just guessing though. I don't know. What is it? Oh, not the slab.
It's a slab.
Slabs on bread.
Sydney Ntlantla Mbele, CMO for Absa. He's the guy that said, your story matters.
Yes. Thank you. Shout out Sydney.
Okay, cool. Second question. What is TikTok's tagline?
I think I should leave this podcast.
No, not yet. Is it think short and simple? Make every second count. Keep it short and simple. Think short and simple. Make every second count. Or keep it short and simple.
Think short and simple. Make every second count. Make every second count. Make every second count. How am I cheating? Make every second count. I said that.
I will give it to you. You see now, we must not have an audience when we do the podcast.
Because now the guests are cheating.
Yeah, no, they're helping you. Okay. There was last year, earlier this month, I think, there was a new listing on the JSE. It's a brand that recently listed. Which one is it? Is it multi-choice, We Buy Cars, or Spa?
Spa. We buy cars. Multi-choice.
No, I'm not gonna give it to you.
I feel like I'm just showing that I must even be bad at 30 seconds. Just tell me. Just use this as a time for information sharing.
It's We Buy Cars. It's We Buy Cars.
So basically, it's only been slaps so far.
So far, two more. Okay, let's try to make it easy. Brand Finance recently named SA's strongest brand. Which one was it? FNB? Celsi? Or rather, Mega Brands.
FNB.
Okay, as a pet.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, it's FNB. Thank you for that question.
Okay, last one. Let's keep it Yoba style. Which brand won the overall top brand at the second annual Top 16 Youth Brands Awards in 2020? B.E.A.R, Tepo, or Legends Baba?
Tepo. Is it Legends?
2023.
What year are we in now?
2024.
Last year. We're now. Okay, so
we are
last
now
year.
gearing up for our third annual Top 16 Youth Owned Brands Awards.
And the options are Batu. They are Tepo
Or Legends Baba.
or Legends. I'm gonna say Batu. Is it a slap?
Even if you tried cheating this one, you still got it.
Was it Legends?
Legends.
Really?
Tepo won 2022.
That's why I only know Tepo. Clearly, I don't know this one.
Legends Baba.
Wow. Congratulations, Legends Baba.
Legends Baba. 5 African countries, including where you come from.
Wow. Even in Lesotho, they know it.
They have a thing there.
A shop. Okay.
Incredible brand. But thank you for being a great sport. I know it didn't go as well as you anticipated.
How many slaps again? Three
yeah.
slaps?
Yeah.
Look, I'm used to no slaps, but apparently today it's not pat on brand, it's slaps on brand. So
I guess the brutal fruit gods are also
whichever medicine man the brutal fruit team is going to is doing his work today.
Let's see if you'll get the quiz. But yeah, if people want to connect with you, how do they go about that?
You can find me on all social media platforms. Mathabo Press, Mathabo Press. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Mathabo Priscilla Sekhonyana.
And any parting shots to our viewers?
If you come to Pat on Brands,
you
better know your brands.
Oh my goodness. Great, man. Thank you once again for making the time. I really appreciate it. And of course, like she said, if you want to connect with her, find her on LinkedIn. Mathabo, she's very responsive. I can tell you, if you send her a DM, she'll respond within a minute.
Only if you're Pat.
But thanks once again. Remember, guys, on the 22nd of June, we are hosting the 3rd annual Top 16 Youth-Owned Brands Awards, where we'll be celebrating brands that are owned and run by young people. This is the gold standard of youth excellence. So do make sure that you get your tickets. Tickets are on sale via www.top16yoba.africa. So grab your tickets and let's celebrate youth excellence together.
Man.
From me, Pat Mahlagu ngiti inakhailale.
Pat. It's Pat on Brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the